In this video, we're going to talk about writing equations of circles from general form to standard form. Now, general form of the equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. Now, we want to write the standard form of the equation and then write out the radius and center of the circle. Right now, this is one form of the general form of the equation of a circle. We have no idea what the center or radius of this circle is right now, but we should be able to figure that out. But remember what the equation of the standard form of a circle looks like. It's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Now, I do not have a perfect square trinomial. Do you remember how to get a perfect square trinomial? We need to complete the square. So let's move all of our x terms together and all of our y terms together. Okay. Now the constant is already on the right side, so that's done. So now I'm going to group these together. Now, how do you complete the square? I'm going to take half of the middle term, which half of 4 is 2. And I'm going to take 2 squared and have 4. So what do? I'm going to put 4 here, and I'm going to add 4 here. Okay. Now, half of negative 6, that's negative 3. And then I'll take negative 3 and square it. That's 9. So I'm going to add 9 and add 9. Now, remember how I do this. Well, x squared plus 4x plus 4, that can be factored as x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared, and that's equal to 25. Now remember, with a positive 2, first step of completing the square. That negative 3, the first step in completing the square. Now that this is in standard form, center and radius is easy to determine. The center, remember it's the opposite, so negative 2 comma 3, and the radius is equal to the square root of 25. That is 5. So r is equal to 5. All right, so let's scroll down then and do this example here. Now, notice a couple of things. Number one, there's no other x terms other than x squared. So we already know what the x coordinate for the center is going to be. So I'm going to rewrite x squared as x minus 0 squared, just so that we can see it, plus y squared minus 16y plus blank. And I'm going to put that 55 over to the other side. That's negative 55. Now remember, when you complete the square, we're going to take half of negative 16, which is negative 8, and square it to get 64. So I'm going to add 64 and add 64 to both sides. Okay, so that's going to end up being, well, I'm going to rewrite this back as x squared again, plus y minus 8 squared is equal to 9. Now that it is in standard form, it's easy to identify both the center and the radius. Well, the center, and it is 0 and 8, and the radius is 3. Remember, that's a square root of 9. And then once you know the center and the radius, you could easily graph this circle, even though I did not ask you to do that in these two problems. Okay, one other example then. This is the worst case scenario because it deals with fractions. So first of all, I want to get all my x's and y's on one side of the equation. Now, as I am doing this, I will group the x's together and I will group the y's together. So first off, let's get everything on the left side that's needed. So subtract x over 2 on both sides and subtract 3y over 2 on both sides. I'm going to leave the constant of negative 3/8 on that side. Okay, so now I'm going to set this up by completing the square. Okay, so now I'm going to take half of, well, the fraction is negative 1/2. So that's negative 1/4. And then I'm going to square that and get 1 over 16. So I'm going to add 1 over 16 to both sides. Now, let's do it for the other one. So I want to take half of negative 3/2, which is negative 3/4, and then square it. Negative 3 squared is positive 9, and 4 squared is 16. So I'm going to add 9 over 16 to both sides. Now, how do I write this? Well, it's going to be x minus 1/4 squared plus y minus 3/4 squared equals, well, got to do a little bit of work, so I'm going to rewrite negative 3/8 as negative 6 over 16 plus 1 over 16 plus 9 over 16. That's 4 over 16, which is the same thing as 1/4. Now, very easy to determine what I need to then. The center, remember, it's the opposite. So that's 1/4, comma 3/4. And the radius, that's a square root of 1/4. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 4 is 2. So the radius in this particular problem is 1/2.